In 1995, which was somehow nearly 25 years ago, a little RPG was released by Konami on the PlayStation 1. Little did I know then that said RPG would be the debut title of my favourite gaming series of all time. I am of course talking about Suikoden, and if you've been subbed to my channel for a while, you'll know how much of a fan I am. I used to live and breathe this series, and even spent the most part of 3 years running a Suikoden roleplay site called Castle Northwind. This series played a massive part of my younger years, and it's these types of games that we will never forget. The Suikoden series did things that few games even today are able to achieve. I'm talking storytelling, character development, multi-game world building, and other innovative mechanics that were well ahead of their time. For me, the Suikoden series is the bar in these areas, and it all started in 1995 with Suikoden 1. Now, it would be so easy for me to put on my nostalgia goggles and write an entire review about how amazing this game is, but that's not going to happen. The truth is, Suikoden 1 does have its fair share of issues which were all addressed in later games, but I think it's important that newcomers of the series are well aware of these things. Before we get into the review, if you like this video, it would help me out a lot if you hit like and sub for more RPG, Suikoden and Eiyuden Chronicle content. Also, come say hi on Facebook and Twitter. Alright, let's make like a rock and roll. You see what I did there? You play the role of Ter McDowell, the son of Tio, who is a well-respected great general of the Empire. After Tio is sent north on a mission, Ter and his close friends are given some more responsibility. While the group are completing a task set for them by their superiors, one of Ter's companions, Ted, is forced to use his magical rune to defeat a monster. The thing is, this isn't just a regular rune. This is the Soul Eater, one of the 27 true runes, which not only grants their users incredible power, but also immortality. These 27 true runes are one of the things that makes this series so amazing, and they're the core reason for most of the series' major conflicts. Anyway, when the group returns to the city, the Emperor's court magician Windy attempts to take the rune from Ted by force. The only way for Ted to prevent the powerful Soul Eater from falling into Windy's hands is to pass it on to Ter. With the powerful rune in possession and nowhere to go, Ter eventually joins up with the rebellion army and helps turn the small group of freedom fighters operating out of the sewers into a massive army capable of taking on the Empire's army. Suikoden is a prime example of perfect pacing. The main story will only take about 20 hours, but something significant will be happening at all times. Watching Ter's transformation from son of an army general to a rebel on the run to the leader of an entire army is one hell of a ride, and there are some incredible moments here. This is largely due to the nature of the Soul Eater rune, which seems to cause death to those close to its bearer. With each death, the rune also powers up, so essentially, Ter gets stronger the more his friends die, and this is indirectly his fault. This is such a tragic burden and creates some truly emotional moments, especially when you factor in Miki Higashino's incredible musical score. I think I made it quite clear that Suikoden tells an incredible underdog tale. However, it does suffer from some very poor dialogue, which is largely due to some horrible translation. One example is this dialogue choice. Ter's friend Pan is requesting to stay back and fight on his own so Ter and the others can escape. However, your two choices are "I'll see you later" and "good luck." In English, both of these responses imply that Ter accepts Pan's proposal. However, selecting the top choice, "I'll see you later," results in Pan saying, "Please don't stop me," which makes no sense at all. Then there's Lepant, who finally agrees to help Ter on his journey despite not wanting to ever fight again. Lepant's dialogue to his wife is, "You are no longer my wife." This just sounds insensitive and not how a realistic, believable conversation in this situation would have gone. One last example is when Kirkus says, "after returning from Dwarf's village." This line was never even meant to be spoken, it was just written for the developer's eyes only. This not only makes no sense, but its accidental inclusion ultimately caused the following lines to be spoken by the wrong characters, with the last line of important dialogue being missing. It's translation issues like these that just made me scratch my head and sigh. With a better localization job, this dialogue and the overall narrative would have been so much stronger at certain times. Now, I'm usually against silent protagonists in video games, but Suikoden does this very well. Ter is made to be a very likable character due to the outstanding cast around him. This is helped by the loads of dialogue choices throughout the game, which is meant to make you feel like you, as the gamer, is in control. However, these don't ever impact the narrative. Just about all of them provide an option that goes something like, "Yes, I'll do it," or "No, I won't." The issue is that if you choose the no option, the other characters will say a line or two and ask you the same question again until you choose yes. One of the true standout features of Suikoden is the 108 characters that can be recruited into your army. With so many characters, you can't expect all of them to play a significant role in the story, but each of them does have a purpose. For instance, some can be chosen to take into battle, some help you in the large-scale wars, and others provide some sort of function in your castle, such as selling items or providing a mini-game. Many of these characters will automatically join you as you progress through the story, but most will need to be recruited. The conditions for recruiting range in difficulty too. Some will join just by talking to them, while others may need you to do something like fetch an item for them. It's worthwhile going out of your way to find them all too, as recruiting them all is also a requirement to activate a special late-game event. There are so many unique mechanics in Suikoden, but perhaps my favourite is their headquarters. Tur will eventually obtain a base of operations home to all of the characters that you recruit. This castle will start off small but grow as you recruit more and more characters. Constantly returning to my base to see what new characters offer is so much fun and something that no other game has ever matched. Now let's talk about the combat. It is really simple but surprisingly fun. You'll be taking Tur and 5 other characters from your massive roster into each battle. However, most of the time, certain characters will be forced into your party for story-related reasons, which can be annoying at times as you are far too often prevented from creating the awesome team that you really want to. Characters can be positioned in a 3x2 formation, with short-range characters only being able to attack from the front row and mid and long rangers being able to attack from both rows. Unique to Suikoden is Unite attacks, which allows certain characters to combine together for an often more powerful offensive move. This mechanic would grow to become one of the staples of Suikoden gameplay. Runes also play a role in battle, and these provide either magical powers that can be cast in battle or passive skills such as increasing the rate of critical attacks. These runes are another huge part of the Suikoden series, but in this original Suikoden there are a couple of major problems here. Firstly is that each character can only equip one single rune. This not only greatly limits customization options, but in order to have Tur run, you need to take up a whole character's rune slot and equip the holy rune. This made me angry, and I rebelled against this stupid design choice by walking through the entire game. Yes, suck on that, Konami, I walked, just like you walked out on the entire Suikoden franchise. The second problem here is that there is no information given to the player regarding what each spell or even each Unite actually does, which makes the internet an essential part of building your party. This lack of information can be annoying, but things get even worse when it comes to the inventory system, which is by far my biggest issue with this game. Each party member has a limited number of items or equipment that can be held. That's right, there is no shared inventory, and this is a horrible design choice. If you want to swap equipment between characters, you have to manually unequip it, enter another screen to move it, enter another screen to equip it, and so on and so forth. There is way too much clicking here. Encounter rates within dungeons and the world map is also annoyingly high, and this is a product of its time. However, I never saw this as a negative in Suikoden because you can get into and exit a battle in only a few seconds. I can't think of another game that has ever been so fast in this area. Now, it's also worth mentioning one of my personal favourite things about Suikoden 1 and the entire series. Not many people seem to realise this, but it is actually possible to play this game one-handed. This makes it so easy to drink in game, or more recently for me, hold a baby in game at the same time. The Suikoden series has 2 other major battle systems in the large-scale wars and the 1v1 duels. I guess they had to start somewhere, as these system mechanics in Suikoden 1 are very simple and evolved for the better in every way. The wars are basically a paper rock scissors system. Infantry beats bows, bows beats magic, and magic beats infantry. This is never difficult to succeed in due to the fact that your recruited ninjas and thieves can be deployed to discover what the enemy will do next. While these are simple and require little brain power, having these large-scale wars is a great idea and works well with the themes of the game. The 1v1 duels leave a lot to be desired. Again, it's paper rock scissors with attack beating defend, defend beating desperate attack, and desperate attack beating attack. What I love about this system is that it isn't just a game of luck, as your enemy will always say something that provides a hint of what they'll do next. Unfortunately, these were underutilized in the original Suikoden, as there were only a few of them through the entire game. Suikoden 1 is the start of something special, the start of my favourite RPG series of all time. While this debut installment has its fair share of problems, it does lay the foundation for many incredible mechanics that are arguably perfected in Suikoden 2. The story is the main reason that you'll want to play this game. The underdog tale of a runaway joining a small-time rebellion army, then eventually recruiting thousands and leading them all into war is such a great ride. There are some great emotional moments too surrounding the nature of the Soul Eater and a very memorable soundtrack by Miki Higashino. Unfortunately, some other scenes lose their impact due to the at times poor dialogue through the rough translation job. Another standout feature is the recruiting of all 108 characters and how they all have some role to play in the war. The only other significant problems with Suikoden is the rune limitations and the lack of descriptions, and of course the inventory system. To be honest, Suikoden is like a prelude to Suikoden 2, which is one of the greatest games of all time. I have such fond memories playing this series for the first time, and sometimes I really wish I could go back and relive the whole series in the early 2000s once again. As I said, this is my favourite series of all time, and I would like to think that most of you watching this have played it before. If for some reason you haven't, then the Suikoden series could not come more recommended, and Suikoden 1 is the perfect place to start. And while Konami may have walked out on Suikoden, the original Suikoden staff have just reunited and are developing a brand new Suikoden-like series, Eiyuden Chronicle. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this one. Have you played Suikoden before? What is your experience with this series? Let me know in the comments. This was Hellfire RPGs. Thanks for watching. It would help me out a lot if you hit like and sub for more RPG, Suikoden and Eiyuden Chronicle content. See you next time.